via telephone shortly, and Mayor Zelniker,
Here.
Town Attorney Tercivia,
Here.
and Town Manager Labadie.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance, and we will have a moment of silence for our troops, and hopefully they do not have the virus. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I know that Mr. Treceva's son is in the Coast Guard. Hopefully he's healthy and well, because I understand some of our troops in South Korea have the virus. And, we want all these young people, men and women, to be healthy. That's for sure. Okay, additions, deletions, and approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? No? If there is a motion to accept the agenda, all say aye.
So
Aye.
moved.
Okay, so we're accepted. The civility pledge, please.
We will be respectful of one another even when we disagree. We will direct all comments to the issue. We will avoid personal attacks. Politeness costs so little, by Abraham Lincoln.
Thank you. We're up to 6. And that is the consideration of a declaration of emergency. A resolution, it's resolution number 20-006, a resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Highland Beach, Florida, declaring a state of local emergency within the Town of Highland Beach, authorizing the town manager to take all actions deemed necessary to protect and preserve the health, safety, and welfare of the town's citizens and the public at large, providing an effective date and for other purposes. Before I refer this to the town manager, I wanted to make a couple of comments so that we all understand what we're doing. Why we are choosing to declare a state of emergency in Highland Beach. This is a precautionary measure to properly prepare and respond to a possible spread of the coronavirus. Just like our neighbors to the north, Delray Beach, has already done. It is imperative to our residents and employees that we have this resolution in place. Some of the actions that the state of emergency will allow our town manager, Marsha Labadie, to do are: the town manager will have the ability to establish curfews if necessary, only if necessary. The town manager can limit passage through Highland Beach to only residents and emergency repairs on an as-needed basis for safety and precaution of all residents, just as we do in a hurricane. The town manager can implement emergency procurement procedures. That is in case we need more supplies and more emergency preparedness for our EMS and our fire department, which is Delray, not us, but we want to make sure everybody is safe and sound. And of course, our police department. We want to make sure they're safe when they go to a building. He will have the authority to ban any gathering over a certain amount of people. Right now, the CDC is suggesting that the United States not have more than 50 people in the room. He will be able to make provisions for the availability and use of temporary emergency situations. He will establish an emergency operating center on behalf of the town if necessary. He will also have many more things that he will be able to do. This is only a precautionary measure at the moment. I do believe at this time it is imperative that we are proactive and not reactive. By flattening the curve of this virus, we are saving lives everywhere, especially here in Highland Beach, where we have a large amount of the vulnerable population. We are an aging population in Highland Beach. And on that note, I will refer the resolution over to our town manager, Labadie.
Thank you, Mayor. That was a great job setting that up. And again, everything we're doing here is with an abundance of caution. We're basically defining the roles, responsibilities, and authorities necessary to take timely action as the coronavirus situation evolves. As all of us have heard, it's going to change over time. So this is a fluid situation, very dynamic. It changes every several hours. Chief and I have, watched every piece of information that comes out. We are in close link with the county and the state as far as giving us the information, getting down stuff from the CDC, communications from the federal government. Again, we are part of a larger group in that Palm Beach County, and that's the message that we will, again, strongly get out is we will provide everybody the contact information. As much as you may want Highland Beach to be the authority and expert on this subject matter, we are not and will not be, but we will get you all of the best information so you can reach out. Again, at this point in time, personal accountability should be at all times high. If you feel you're vulnerable to the coronavirus has been directed, take the necessary steps in your own life, contact your own doctor, and take the steps you need to make yourself and your family safe. So again, this resolution just gives me the authority as needed to take timely action. And that's basically what we're asking for today is so as this evolves, if we have to take appropriate steps, we can take them and we can take them quickly. As far as the business of the town, I will be in regular communication with the commission and then we will get messages back out to the public. But again, on the disease, infectious disease itself, we are not experts. But the CDC, the county health department, the state Florida health department, they are the experts. They will give us the best and latest information as to what's going on and what we should be doing. Right now it's social distancing. You'll hear that message over and over and over again. Again, that's what we're looking to minimize is you see in the crowd today, we've taken out half of the chairs. We're doing things to increase that social distancing, keep everybody safe as we move forward. And those actions we will be taking. We will respond as necessary if we have to restrict access to the public to certain services, or as I would say, because it is Highland Beach, we'll go to a full service potential option where you would have to call for an appointment and we will handle needs of the community one-on-one for whatever that service is, whether that's building, whether that's library, whether it's post office, or it could be some variant of that. So basically, we're going to be working to appropriately restrict the community to the community facilities. At this point in time, you've seen that we've done that with you see the CDC has said 50 plus people. We've already done that. We took action before they even made that recommendation to limit the amount of activities where we have groups of people together. And we will continue to do that. From time to time, there will be business of the town. Teresha, myself, and Mark Rutledge, our IT consultant, we're gonna look and find ways to it's a good time to exercise our options to see what technology we have at play, how quickly we can deploy that so we can have virtual meetings if need be. We still have a special meeting similar to this next Tuesday. That is to swear in the new commissioners. We want to make sure we get that done and in place. Again, we will probably restrict there's no ceremony. We're not going to have communal cake and coffee like we always like to, and hugs and kisses. We're going to, elbow bumps and stay at a distance and get everybody seated and in place, keep the operations of the town moving forward. I met with Matt. We've got 83% of our revenue stream collected to date. We know we have a strong reserves. We're in a strong financial position to weather this storm. Thank God. The decisions of this commission and past commissions put us in a strong fiscal position. We can handle this. We will be okay. Those things will not have to, you have to worry about. And as you hear from all of those experts, this too will pass. We just don't know in the short term what we have to do to get those actions, so we're following suit. Again, the federal government, the state government and the county have all declared emergencies. So we're doing the same thing, a public health emergency, again, just to give me a series of authority to move the business moving forward. With that being said, it doesn't mean I'm not going to keep you in the loop. That doesn't mean I'm going to go start making these actions independently. I will keep you all in loop on email, keep you what's going on, what's happening. And if we can call a meeting safely, we will. If we cannot, we won't. And then if we can find a way to have alternative meetings, we will. We're going to try to see what that is. There are some limitations, but we'll see what we can do to keep us moving. Again, there's no specific action we're taking today. I know that everybody is hearing about some of the panic purchasing. I will reiterate the comments from the president and his team, the governor and his team, and the county health director, Dr. Lonzo, is, everybody's panic buying more than they need. Grocery stores and supply chains for our food supplies are going to be maintained. We just have to stop buying 6 months of X product all at once, and we're all doing it. We're all, creatures of habit and impulse, and we see people doing it. We're all falling into that. That'll work itself out. We're going to be okay. There will be supplies. And as we see, the Federal Reserve, greater minds than mine, are backstopping this to the greatest extent possible for the economic downturn. So all of the great minds are working on it. It's an infectious disease. We're an at-risk population. Please take appropriate actions moving forward. Protect yourself and your family. Now, business. Advisory boards, if they don't have any time-sensitive actions with the passage of this declaration, I'll probably postpone those meetings until we get through this a little bit. If there is time-sensitive business, so maybe a development order by the planning board, if we can do it remotely, we will. If we have to have a meeting, because we just can't postpone too much longer, we'll do that same with the commission. But again, some of the stuff with this authority I can do with you in communications, and if we need to meet, we will meet virtually or however we need to. Other things, I'm not telling staff to go home. So anybody out there thinks that there's no staff here, that's not it. If we restrict access, employees will still be here working, but we're just restricting the amount of people congregating together and moving through our facilities. Water plant, totally fine. Pat and his team have a schedule. Don't worry about it. Water's going to be produced. Our award-winning water will be produced. Police and fire have protocols in place. I'm going to call Chief Hartman up to go over that, but they have protocols in place to respond to emergencies. So he'll go over those. Met with Jeff, our building official. He's trying to find ways where we can use a couple portals to do online permit submission, help people so they don't have to circulate. And then we will still be doing inspections as needed, but we'll have ability to do some of that. Again, if you are sick or feel ill, please don't call town hall. We're not going to diagnose your symptoms. I would strongly advise you to call your doctor, healthcare provider. There'll be some public health hotlines that we'll put up on there if they're not already up on the website. If you just don't know where to even start, you could start with us to get into those locations, to get to the CDC, the Florida Department of Health. Florida Department of Health has a hotline number. You call with any questions you have. But again, your local doctor you normally go to, will help you through this situation. Again, if there is an emergency and you call 911 for a response, fire is prepared to respond. We're ready to go. Nothing's changed. The only thing that's going to be changed, and you'll find in our lives, as we all have, access is going to start being restricted for group gatherings. That's going to be put on hiatus for a long time here. Whatever that may be, 60, 30, 90 days, no one knows. But we're still going to provide services to our public. It just may be slightly restricted. With that, I'm going to yield a little more of my time over to Chief Hartman. If you could give us as our emergency response manager, he's in tune, plugged in. We're talking about this issue. I'm telling you, every hour we're doing updates back and forth. On the weekends, we're calling each other. We're following the bouncing ball to ensure we're taking all of the appropriate actions when we need to take them. Chief?
Thank you, Manager, Mayor, Commissioners. Fortunately for us, Barrier Island, and we're used to these emergency responses, so we are initiating the same way we would for a hurricane. We've already had a meeting last week with the County Emergency Operations Center, with all public safety, all the health officials, county officials, the initial meeting. We've had 2 conference calls this morning, started daily conference calls for the rest of the week at 10 a.m. We have that. The manager has actually a city manager's conference call at 2 p.m. today. So I think if you made some of the message in here, what they're trying to do is have a unified message. Understand that this is an international, but that what we're dealing with, whether at national level, state level, and then from the county level. So what we try to do is get on with the county so that all the municipalities, the county, everybody's kind of operating the same, one voice, some thought processes going into that, so you don't see counties, cities jumping off doing a lot of different things. It's pretty standard what some of the responses have been right now to what we're doing. Shutting down events, we got ahead of the curve last week prior to the parade being shut down, some of the other things. Manager, we made the call to shut down some of our events in Spring Fling. County is right now at a level 2 operation for their emergency response levels, daily EEOC calls, fire department. This is one of the benefits of having a fire department like that we're connected with. They have the medical director on staff, so everything is flowing through that medical director, the information that we're getting. They have protocols. They are prepared to handle calls, to go to calls with flu-like symptoms, and then we have our responses to those calls with them for flu-like symptoms. Remember what they told us this morning, 5 cases in Palm Beach County. So right now, we've only have 5 cases that are travel-related cases, not community-wide spread cases. So that's important to know, and there's certainly a sense of precaution, but calmness at the county level to say, think about what we're doing. We are in the initial phase of this. This will be, according to Dr. Alonso, all the professionals, that this will go on. This will be months, certainly. So we don't want to take actions that we have to take a step back from later on because this hasn't gotten to that point or we're not there yet. So I think the steps you're making today, the manager's authority to do different things operationally as we move forward, our plan that we have in place, the employees that are prepared, the information that is going out to them, the extra sanitizing and policy that we're putting in place internally, help from Glenn's office with drafting up some language for us to put those things in place has been what we have been working on. Informationally, we have gotten on all the mediums we have. I think I see you have some community people here today, but we have putting this out on every medium that we have for the town, whether it's social media, the webpage, the cable channel, on the alert on the website, email blast that we've gone out doing with, so everybody knows. The biggest message that we can tell you, if you need information, the Florida Health Department and the CDC. That is your best. That's where everybody's getting their information. That's where the local and state get their information from. Your municipalities are not going to be your source of information on disease control and what's affecting the whole country and the whole world right now. So anybody that asks us, we refer to that. We get our updates through them. It flows down through them, and we've referred to everybody else that. We put that information out to everybody. I think that anybody we've talked to, they understand that. So hopefully that's the message that we share. That's what the county shares with us, and we want to share that with our community. Go to those sites. If you need to know something locally for Highland Beach, that's germane to Highland Beach, that's where you contact your town through your websites and look on the cable channels. We'll pass along that county, state, and national information that we get on those things, but your best information, if you need that type of advice, Dr. Alonso was very clear. We want to make sure we're getting the right information and it's a unified information, so we're not trying to reproduce some of those things that's already out there on the major sources of information. I think that's it for right now.
Any questions for the chief? Yeah. Okay, I have a question for you. A lot of residents are asking me, do we have enough equipment? Because this resolution will allow Marshall to buy whatever is necessary for any of you that are in the first line.
Sure, thank you for asking that. And we do for right now. Obviously, we're dealing with the same shortage that everybody's dealing with. So we're prepared and working through with Delray Fire Rescue, with Delray PD. We have the necessities that we need now. We were able to acquire some things before we even put this into play in the anticipation of these things. So for our limited use and needs, we're okay for right now, but we do have those things lined up for more of that.
So you have them on order, Marshall?
We do.
Things that we do are on order.
We've already gotten some stuff into sanitizing, the different things for our
Well, the
preparedness.
face masks, the,
Correct.
what PPE is
Yes.
called, what is that
Yes.
called? Yeah,
Personal
PPE.
protection equipment.
Personal protection equipment.
Equipment, yeah.
Because we care about our employees as much as we care about our residents. Everyone has to use them, too.
Correct.
Because we've had situations, my own building, where they came in, and we had an elderly person, but I don't think they were using them, but it's okay. But at this point, we have to use it, because you don't know if someone has the flu. And like you just made a statement, there are only 5 coronavirus people that are sick in West Palm Beach, but that's not true. And you know why it's not true? We haven't tested anybody.
No, I'm telling you what's reported to
Yeah,
the
no, I'm
county.
telling you
That
what
was told to
they're
us on the county
saying,
call this morning. So
but-
what we know of, right.
Right, that we know of. That doesn't mean there are not thousands and
course.
thousands of people.
That goes without saying.
And also, there was just a report this morning that over thousands of people came off of a cruise ship in Miami, and they weren't even screened or tested, even though someone had the coronavirus on it. So we don't know. No one in the United States has really been tested, and people have difficulty getting these tests even now. But, all right, does anyone else have any questions for the chief?
Mayor Zelniker?
Yes.
May I, Vice Mayor Bobby has been on the phone since 1:33. Just want to make everyone aware he has joined the meeting.
Good, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to have a commission discussion on this. Evelyn David, please.
Okay, I have no problem with most of this, that you need to get ahead, you don't want to have a meeting. If Marshall has to act quickly, he should be able to act. The one thing that I object to is the idea of closing down A1A on a number of areas. First of all, it interferes with interstate commerce, which violates the Constitution. We'll just start with that. Second of all, deliveries. If we're all self-isolating in place, we're going to have deliveries from the grocery store, from Amazon, from wherever. They're not residents. The mail, and what if Delray and Boca decide that they're going to close down their roads? We can't get here if we're not in our apartments. Once you leave, you can't get back.
No, that's not necessarily true. The officer will tell you.
And what are we going to do about the Delray Sands, if anything?
So again, the authorities kind of outlined in there doesn't mean those are the actions we're going to take. It gives us the operational flexibility to take the necessary actions for the protocols established by the Emergency Operations Center. So, you know, they're not going to do things that are going to lock out people from any access, this and that. But if so needed, God forbid, we have that ability. I don't see that coming, that they're going to restrict movement because they want people to be able to get services. They are encouraging personal delivery of products to those that have decided to self-quarantine or are reluctant to go out because of their at-risk status. That those things aren't done. Curfews, I don't know that there is a purpose yet for such a thing. We don't know that. We haven't been told that we're to that point at any point, at any situation. The Sands, with Chief and I, we'll meet with them to make sure they're limiting what they're doing. We're finding that a lot of people are self-regulating. People are starting to stop going to the events. They're seeing sales drop off. They're seeing people return home early from stays or cancel. We're going to see a natural lightening of use at the Sands, at least, along with our other places. So we're not to that point where we'd be doing it. It's just a litany of authority and responsibilities that are granted in the charter once this declaration is made, that I have that flexibility operationally to do what is right to protect the safety of the community. And I won't be doing it in isolation. You guys will know. Before I do something, you'll know. You'll know.
No, I agree. We need to take preemptive action. I just don't want us jumping off the deep end before we need to.
No.
Anything
No,
else?
Nope.
Okay, Commissioner Donaldson?
Okay, thank you. Just to start, yes, the town has an excellent website, so anyone looking for information, please go there. You'll find some good links. As been suggested, CDC, Florida Department of Health. Go to the source to get accurate information. Don't rely on rumors and innuendos. That just gets everyone in a tither unnecessarily. So if we keep our wits about us, we should be just fine. We are sort of in an atmosphere right now where doing too much is perceived as not doing enough. And that's probably going to continue for a while. I think it's going to take months for us to really analyze actions locally, state, federally, to understand what was right, what was wrong, and what we can do better. So we're going to make some mistakes, but again, at this point, our best tool is to err on the side of caution, and that's what we're going to need to do for a while. We'll have some lessons learned, and we'll know a little better how to handle this going forward. Personally, I don't think this is a sustainable national policy. And as Marshall said, greater minds than ours are going to have to wrestle with that question down the road. Delray Sands, we're fortunate to only have one business in town. These people are responsible. I don't want to meddle too much with them. So certainly I'm sure they'll take good appropriate action. They've been a good neighbor and a good friend to the town. Do we have a question about fiscal tracking? Do we have a special coding or anything on expenses related to this for potential reimbursement? Or
So as
how are
we're
we setting that up?
Yeah, so as we're learning, yes. So Chief is keeping track of all the specialty type items, the PPE that you would buy above and beyond normal circumstances. Right now, there isn't really a reimbursement authorized yet. At some point, there will be. And with this declaration and our tracking to date, we are on top of that and watching it. And Matt has the ability to track those expenses as well and watch any of those expense sides.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Seidman?
Yes, thank you. Commissioners Donaldson and David covered a couple of the areas I was going to bring up. And I would like to state this is a good time to, though we cannot perhaps go next door and have dinner, this is a good time to be in good contact with your neighbors, your family, and your support system. And we at the town are trying to go with the flow with regard to the neighboring communities, the county, the state, and the federal government. We are like the low guys on the totem pole, but we are following the protocols, as Marshall said. And I think fear and of the unknown is our greatest enemy right now, in addition to the virus. So if we could all maintain our cools and read a good, thick Russian novel, play chess, play cards, play mahjong. So I just hope that everyone keeps a good spirit about themselves and rely upon themselves and their family. And we are a 3-mile-long town, so I think we can handle this. Thank you.
Okay, would Greg like to say anything?
Vice Mayor Bobby,
Is he there?
Yeah,
would you like to say something on the record?
I know, I'm gonna pass on because I can't really hear very well because of all the typing going on, so I think I'm gonna dive back in, I'll dive back in, but I couldn't hear very much what was said, and I don't wanna repeat anything that people have already said.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Yeah, I think this is important to have this resolution that if things get worse, and from everything I'm reading, and I happen to know personally someone in the CDC, this virus will get worse. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope everybody can say, oh, she's, neurotic and too obsessed with this. Like you said, play mahjong. Now is not the time to be playing mahjong in a social room. We are being told by the government to distance ourselves 6 feet from a person. To me, I would rather err on the side of overcaution than not. Governor DeSantis is looking into right now stopping domestic flights from coming into Florida because he feels many people, and there are many people in New York that are flying to Florida, they have relatives here and this and that. He really doesn't want them here from New York. So there is a certain reality. Yes, we cannot panic, and we shouldn't be overly upset. But I know a lot of people in our community that are older, and they are literally self-quarantining themselves in their apartment because they have lots of underlying conditions. So I think we have full faith in our town manager, Marshall Laverty, and this resolution will give him the power to do whatever is necessary. And I think that that was an important thing to do, since the other towns around us are doing the same thing. We have no idea what might happen or might not happen. And actually, our attorney, I would like to hear from you. You say there are a number of towns doing this now. Yeah, I would like to hear. Are you hearing from other towns?
As Marshall said, over the weekend, everybody's been talking. We have special meetings, I know, set here. There's one tonight. There's one Palm Springs, considering one either tomorrow, Wednesday, Lake Work Thursday. So yes, other Loxahatchee Groves tonight. So yes, you're not alone. Communities are looking at this, trying to craft the right response when, as we all know, it's all in, education-wise, it's CDC and Department of Health-wise, it's each of us, trying to practice all that good hygiene habits that they taught us in second grade. We got to remember all those things. Wash your hands, don't sneeze on people, don't cough on people, those kind of things. So everybody just be safe. And we're also looking into the issues of some kind of teleconferencing. The Attorney General for years has said that you have to have 3 people, quorum physically present. We're going to stick with that guidance, but if there comes a point where if for some reason there are 3 commissioners that are not available, we're probably going to go out on a limb and say, go ahead and have the meeting and then ratify it later. You have to be adaptable and be flexible in a situation like this. So we'll hopefully be able to continue to meet with at least quorums.
Okay, so at this time, I would like anyone from the public to make any comments that they would like. Certainly, John?
Mayor, Commissioners, John Shoemaker from the Highland Beach Club. I'd like to report at least what the Highland Beach Club has done. This morning, the Board of Directors had an extensive discussion, and so we're focused on specific actions. And part of that includes that effective 4 o'clock today, we are closing down the pool area, the barbecue area, the gym, the billiard room. We have a business center and the clubhouse itself, and we're not allowing card playing, which is a big activity, in and around the clubhouse. In addition, we're taking steps on disinfecting, especially our 2 towers, the doors, the elevators, especially the buttons. One of our directors went down and she ran a swab down all the buttons. It was amazing how dirty they were. So other actions, we have an ongoing schedule, morning, noon, mid-afternoon, evening, to disinfect the buildings. So that's an immediate action. It's quite dramatic. It's also difficult because some of the people can't even go on their balconies because we're going through a restoration. So any limit to allowing services, like carousel restoration services, there are people come on site to finish the work. That would be a real problem. So I appreciate that while you have draconian measures available, but we don't want to do that. And so I think that is sensible. I would like to ask, I guess, a couple things. One is the library. I really think that we need to keep the library open. Now, in Massachusetts, if you've heard Governor Baker, he's now limited, amazingly, all restaurants, buildings, throughout the state, no more than 25 can go in. So there's a limit of 25. So even these large big box stores are now having to monitor how many people they have, and so as they go in, they come out, and whatnot. So I'm suggesting that, at least with the library, we can have the library stay open and limit the number of people that go in the library or leave, so that, frankly, people can continue to use it, especially during this time when, you'd like to encourage taking books out and reading and that sort of thing. The other is the post office. Again, you can have lines outside, not let them in, so I think we can have some action that can still keep some of these services open. Because in reality, Florida has 22 million people, 22 million. The number of identified cases, which is changing daily, is less than 100. So I'm of the opinion that, look, we need to take precautions and we need to be proactive, but my goodness, we can't get panicked, because what's happening with this panic, both in the media and with politicians that have created this firestorm, you got people out there cleaning out the shelves of toilet paper. I mean, it's crazy. So we don't want to add to that, is my point. Now, one last point I'll make is a suggestion. If there is one thing that I think the condos, I'm thinking about now all the condos, have as a potential problem, is access to the actual hand sanitizer. So if there is a way for the town to get access to hand sanitizer and make it available to the various boards of the condos, that would be a really good thing as a direct service to the condominiums. Because I can tell you for Highland Beach Club, fortunately we've been ahead of this a little bit, but the usage obviously is skyrocketed, so we're going to run out. And getting resupply, as you know, is tough. So consider that in terms of what you can do for the condos more than just what we're doing here at the town. Okay? Those are my comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to comment? Okay, yes? The future mayor.
Doug Hillman, Dalton Place. I thought we were first going to pass the resolution and then talk about what actions we were going to take, but apparently we're going to talk about actions first, so let's do that. Thank you, John, for your thoughts. I'm of an entirely different opinion. What happened in Italy was they did not take action, and it's a horror show, and it's a total disaster. I don't know what the number that died yesterday, but the day before, I think it was 349 in one day. We're very fortunate right now because we have an opportunity, and that is there are only 5 cases here in the county, no cases here in our town.
That they know of.
Broward, lots of cases. Broward's a hotbed. Miami-Dade is a hotbed. It's moving north. Tomorrow, there's going to be more than 5. Hopefully none here. But there are going to be cases here in Highland Beach. And if we don't take action now, while we have the opportunity, we're going to be sorry. And it's all about not letting it spike. We have to get ahead of the spike. And we have to get it to be like this, not like this. And I believe if we don't do something now, and if we're not very aggressive now, we're going to be sorry. And it's not popular, and it's not politically popular to be aggressive now. But I think we're dealing with life safety issues. And decisions on life safety issues are unpopular decisions. And I'd rather be unpopular and be people upset than be wrong. So I think we have to be very aggressive. And if aggressive means closing the library, it means closing the library. But God forbid one of the people working in that library catches it. And we won't know they caught it because they worked in a library. It might be because they live in a building and they got it in the building. Or they got it when they were, at Publix. I don't know. But somebody brings the book back, and the book goes back on the shelf, and then the next person took that book out, and that's where they got it. We never, ever know where they got it from. But I think we have to be aggressive as we possibly can. And I think when we look at the things that we might do, We have to look with those thoughts in mind. And I think it's about our employees, and I think it's about our people that live in our town. And I'm not suggesting shutting the whole town down, no. But if it's making appointments to come into the town hall, maybe that's part of it. Or if it's reducing hours for the library. I mean, we've already done a lot of things, and Marshall's on top of it. He's doing a great job. I mean, we talked about it early in the week, and already great progress is made. And we're already at phase 2. And there's some things in phase 3. We don't have to do all of phase 3. Maybe there's pieces of phase 3 we should be looking at doing. But I think we need to be taking action plans now, not waiting until we have, 2 cases or 10 cases or 20 cases. Don't wait. Do it now. And if there's some unhappy people, there's some unhappy people. I have a board meeting at 4 o'clock back at Dalton. We're going to close our social room. We're going to close our fitness room, unless the board disagrees with me, and they might. I have only 1 vote. We're not closing our pool. There's no problem swimming in the pool water. The chlorine takes care of it. But we're taking all of our cushions in, because the cushions retain all of the problems. But the furniture is wrapped in vinyl, very easy to clean. So we're going to leave them out. They're already spaced a lot more than this is even spaced. And we'll just stay on top of cleaning them. We're doing all the cleaning things that you're doing. And the buttons were filthy. You're absolutely right. They were terrible. So, I mean, we're doing all of that. We're stopping deliveries. No delivery people are coming into the building. They're going to deliver outside the building. We're going to stop our valet service, because I don't want our valet, going into all these different cars. Don't know what's in those cars. Don't know who is in those cars. But now that valet will have time to receive packages outside. So we're trying to get creative doing some of the out-of-the-box things. Because we don't want the delivery people that have been in and out of all these other buildings coming into our building. Don't know if it's going to help, but we're trying these kind of things. First thing tomorrow morning, we have a meeting over at our beach club for the entire HOA, where we're going to discuss the possibility of closing the entire beach club. That's not going to have happy people that flew in here for the holidays, for the spring break, even though we told them, don't bring your family members down now. Now, if we don't close the beach club, we'll close the social room upstairs for sure. But we have to be proactive. We've got to get ahead of this spike and try to get it down to a curve, not a spike. So that's my thinking. Definitely sign the resolution.
Okay. I appreciate that very much, and I appreciate your comments. At this time, are there any more? Yes, please.
My name is Paolo Longo from Dalton Place. I support what Doug said wholeheartedly. I speak to Italy constantly, more than once a day. It is a horror story. And it is a horror story in the most advanced part of Italy, Milan, which has, according to ABC, one of the best hospital systems in the world. The problem is the sudden peak and how incredibly difficult it is for the system to support the peak. The system is geared for normal, quote-unquote, crisis situations, but this is not normal. ABC reported 3 days ago that Italy has more medical doctorates per capita than the United States, 4 against 2.4. That it has more hospital beds than the United States. So if what is happening in Italy is and was unpredictable, it is predictable in the United States. So my strong suggestion is to, again, as Doug said, to do whatever is unpopular today, not to have the horror story that they're having in Italy tomorrow. Thank you.
I appreciate your comment very much. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to say anything? If not, we're going to continue with our commission discussion unless, my commissioners, maybe you would like to vote on to adopt the resolution now, and then I would like to further the discussion with some other things.
I move that we accept Resolution 20-006 as presented.
I second.
Roll call.
Okay, Commissioner David,
Yes.
Commissioner Gossett Seidman,
Yes.
Commissioner Donaldson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bobby.
Yes.
Okay, and Mayor Zelniker.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Well, thank you. Thank you for passing this motion. I think it's critical that we passed it. I would like to continue this discussion. I had some issues that I'd like to bring up. First of all, we have an election tomorrow on Tuesday, November 17th. Tomorrow. I would like the town to send out an email strongly advising that if you are voting at St. Lucy's tomorrow, and I'll tell you, the supervisor of election was on TV yesterday. Did anyone see her on the TV? She had said, bring your own pen in black. Don't be sharing pens when you go in to vote. Linelda called the supervisor of elections, and they said they will have hand sanitizers. However, they will run out. We have sanitizers in my building, too, and believe it or not, people are stealing it. Yes. So don't count on anyone. We all have to be responsible for ourselves. Bring your own sanitizer, your Clorox sanitizer with you, and try to keep everything you touch clean. So I would like some of that information to go out to the public, Marshall, this afternoon. Very important, bring your own black pen. And the other thing which I'm concerned about, which the chief will work with our town manager on, because now the town manager has authority to do the right thing. We shouldn't have mobs of people in there at one time. And if before they even get to that point, I know they have their own people, the election people. By the way, if you saw that broadcast yesterday, a lot of people that work for the polling places have called in and said they're not working. So it might be a jammed up situation. We don't know. They might be missing people because they don't want to be around with all the germs and everything, the older people that volunteer. So if it's at all possible for the town manager and the chief to work something out, to have an officer standing there and make sure not more than, let's say, that's up to you, the amount of people that you want to go in. But I don't think we should have, they're saying not to have more than 50 people in at one time now, anywhere. So that's up to you guys.
Yeah, so
Any comments on
we had a
that?
conversation, Linelda and I and the chief earlier. Usually they don't want police presence there because it could look like election tampering or intimidation.
Okay.
But we will, as normally, we'll patrol through the lot, make sure it's calm and orderly, nothing's getting out of hand. And if Ms. Lynx wants us there, she'll give us a call and say, oh my goodness, we need some help, and we'll be more than glad to provide it. But to stand at the door generally is frowned upon and not welcomed.
Okay.
But again, we understand this is unprecedented times. Chief's on alert, knows that the election's coming. Our team will be moving through there on a regular basis. And if we're called to assist because it's getting out of control, we'll be more than glad to step in at that point.
Okay, I just wanted to make everyone aware of that. Does anyone have a problem that an email go out to the voting population? Bring your own black pen, bring your own hand sanitizer when you go there. The next issue I had, and I do agree with these two gentlemen, Mr. Hillman, the other gentleman, I am concerned about the library. And Lois, our employees now, when they handle the books and they handle the movies, are they wearing gloves or are they what are they doing as a precaution? Because I know a lot of people that are sick with bad colds and they go to the library, take out a book, and then they put it back. And according to CDC, those germs are on that book. And those terms can last, I think, up to 3 days. Don't quote me, I'm not sure. But I am concerned about the employees. I'm very concerned.
Lois Albertson, Library Director. Yes, of course, the safety and health of our residents and our staff, of course, is very important. We have gotten some questions about whether or not we're sanitizing or Lysoling all the books when they come in, and I just do want to make it clear that we can't, to anything that puts moisture on the books, or then we will have a mold and mildew problem, which would be a different kind of health issue. Obviously, we are being careful, washing our hands, using hand sanitizer. We're encouraging patrons to, especially if they have concerns about taking materials out, to make sure that they are washing their hands when they're handling anything. We are constantly wiping down all of the public areas, the counters, the tables, the doors, the door handles, the light switches. I know Pat has the cleaning crew doing extra cleaning at night, so we're trying to do everything we can to reduce any concerns.
Well, it is a concern. Yeah, what? Close it? Okay.
So,
All right. No, but I would like to know also, when residents are bringing the books to the book return, and they're opening up the lever to put the books or the movies in, my suggestion would be obviously to have a sanitizer. People have to take responsibility for themselves. But I'm very concerned about the germs being on these items.
and we have been wiping those down.
Okay. All right. If you feel, do they use the rubber gloves or no?
At this time, we are not using rubber gloves. Some of our volunteers have been using them, that people that did have underlying health conditions, but starting this morning, we are going to be notifying our volunteers that while we certainly appreciate all of the help that they give us, we don't want to put anyone at risk, so we are going to be canceling all of the volunteer shifts.
Well, that's good to know.
For the foreseeable future, because those are residents, many of them are in the high-risk categories, so we will not be having the volunteers come in.
Okay, and as well, it's good you're doing that. And Boca Raton Hospital, I understand the hospital group, there was something that came out, and none of their they also do not have any volunteers right now. They sent all the volunteers home because there are some corona cases in that group with the Baptist Hospital. But anyhow, thank you. All right, if you feel that's adequate.
One more thing I would like to say is this is a great time for anyone who has not taken advantage of the ebooks and digital magazines that we offer. Go to the town's website, to the library page. It's a simple sign-up process. If you have your library card, it's a great time to learn how to use those items, and then you can check them out if you're stuck at home, or if you decide to go north, you can still access those items. And in terms of closing or shortening hours or anything, we are, of course, happy to work with the town manager and the chief and the commission to do whatever you feel is best.
Okay, we just want everyone safe, the employees.
Absolutely,
too.
I agree.
Okay, anyone have any comments with the library, or? No.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Peggy?
In general, I just wanted to perhaps lend a little bit of information. Earlier in the week, I was with several commissioners from throughout the state at a league function, and already at that point, and we're talking a week ago, there was discussion among many communities of implementing what we're doing today and more. And in fact, I believe I sent Marshall an email Friday and suggested we get and pull together an emergency meeting, which he did. I think I was one of the first to suggest it, but we are not too early or too late on this. I think we're going with the flow of the spirit of many communities in the state, and I wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Okay.
Mayor, if I might.
Certainly.
From my perspective, what we're doing here today is actually giving our city managers fairly broad-based powers to take appropriate actions at an appropriate time. I don't think it will really do us any good to kind of second guess those actions or to have him constantly looking over his shoulder. I think we have the utmost faith in his judgment, and I really don't want to put any kind of restrictions on anything going forward. That's the purpose of the resolution, and I'm sure he'll do the right thing at the right time. And he has always been good about keeping us in the loop and informed on major decisions. So we'll be okay going forward. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else, any commissioners, anybody, Evelyn, David, do you have any comments or anything?
No, other than to say that I would not be opposed to closing the library. The post office may be a different situation because you can't interfere with the U.S. mail.
No.
So I don't know what we would do with that.
Well, Marshall can explain that. We can.
So we're exploring all these options. All this stuff was on the table this morning. Lois and I met for probably 45 minutes to an hour saying, I was asking her how our residents interact with the library staff, what will be the biggest concerns that they may have. So we want to be able to continue to provide service. We've talked everything from appointment only to limited access to on-demand or services. So if somebody wants a book, we'll pull the book. You can come pick it up. It's almost kind of that as an option. And we've talked about truly closing the library. It's an option too. Same with the post office. I had some concerns in the post office. I went in this morning. There was 8 of us standing in that little spot. Probably not the best way to go about this. So there will be some, I'm telegraphing that now, there will be some restriction on access to the post office. It may be that you have to wait at the door until it's your turn, and we try to keep that as orderly as possible so long as we can do that, one person at a time. I think that would give Val some breathing room in that space, because if all of a sudden you have 8 people waiting and talking and everybody's shoulder to shoulder in that little library, so I mean in that post office. So we need to take those actions. We're going through all of this. Chief and I we have calls coming up this afternoon. We're going to have a little more conversation as we talk. Now I saw Peggy say it earlier in the meeting. There's 3 more cases in Palm Beach. It's an evolving situation. Every day there's going to be more. As more people are tested, more people are going to have it. So we are taking this very seriously and making sure we're taking strategic actions and delivering that message as quickly and clearly as possible. And for sure, as you know, every time I go to do something, I'm sending it to you guys. You guys know what's going on too. So we may have to take those additional steps. We've got some policies for internally on telecommuting in the work, and also illness policies and the protocol that I showed you that we kind of keep track. Kudos to Linelda. When anyone goes to the clerk's counter, I'm sure we have some frustrated residents. She's got a bunch of questions about where they've been, who they've interacted with, just to keep themselves safe. So we're constantly, every day, new pieces, new protocols, new changes to service, all that. It's evolving. And again, I hope it settles sooner rather than later, but realistically, we've got some time ahead of us that we'll be doing this.
Doug, please.
Number one, I totally agree with Barry. You're on top of it. Okay. Couple of ideas for the library. If I recall right, when I got my library card, you got my email address.
Yes, many people do decline, though, to give it to us.
Okay. So you have a large number of email addresses of people that have library cards. So it might be an opportunity to send out a bit of a tutorial to people with library cards on how to access, books, etc., so that they can not come to the library and,
We're going to make her a TV star. She can do it on cable TV. We can film it and put it on there, and she can walk people through it. So
Here we go. Now, that's even a better idea. Maybe you could do a little tutorial so people could plug in, and now they could learn how to access all this stuff and not come to the library. Second thought was, if we could find out how long the germs last on a book, then we could quarantine the books when they're dropped off before your people put them back. I have no idea what it is. Let's say it's 3 days.
4 days?
4 days.
That's a long time.
So let's assume it is the 4 days. If that's accurate, let's quarantine them for a week before anybody touches them and puts them back. So at least we're doing a little something to protect ourselves, our people, and the residents. So a few of those things might kind of like suppress the opportunity for anybody. Okay?
We will certainly look into that.
Yeah,
And I'd like to see you on screen. I think that'd be pretty cool.
that's a good idea.
We'll
At
get her on
least it
screen to read books
reduces-
to everybody for hours on end.
It'll
Yeah.
reduce the impact in
Yeah.
the number of people coming in. Okay? Thanks.
Yeah, and I think, as I was talking to Marshall before, most people don't use the website. We have a lot of older people in the community. They don't know how, they can't get in, whatever. We have to communicate the way you did, which was perfect. And I think the police officers dropped off a flyer at all the buildings. I don't know what they did with the side street houses, but they really should drop them off. And I think that should be on there, the phone numbers of CDC or who you want them to call. I think our communication is vital at this point. I do believe that it's vital. When you send a piece of paper to a person or even have a mailing, if necessary, you have the power now to do a mailing if you feel it's important that each resident has all the information they need. The information about the library, the information, the phone numbers, who to call. And if anybody else has any suggestions, please tell Marshall. Any information we can give to the public is valuable information.
Yep.
Yes, Doug?
I've gotten numerous questions, the same question from numerous residents in our development. And I'm sure anybody that lives in a building has got those same questions. And it's for you, Chief. If somebody comes down with it, is just that individual quarantined or is the building quarantined?
That's something that would have to come from the health department. That wouldn't be something at your local municipality level that you would be doing. Fire rescue that responds to those calls would make those determinations. And they're in contact with the health department as they're reporting these cases. So, the self-quarantine is what's advised on everything, whether it's a building or a private home. But that would go through your fire rescue. They're in contact with the health department when they respond to these calls, when they document these cases, and they'll have all that information. So we can't tell. I don't know what you can do as far as your bylaws.
I mean, we could
allow you to
ask
do
and
that.
see if there is an answer, but we don't have that answer.
Yeah, we haven't been told anything about your public safety quarantine, shutting down any type of thing that's a building. Right, that's what we've been under the impression. Now, we've been telling people, wash your hands with your
Don't
hand
worry, I don't have
sanitizer
it.
problems. The same thing here. We're all running into the same problems. We tell our employees, wash their hands as often as possible. That gel is for you as you're on the move or you just got done shaking somebody's hand. But the washing the hands is what they're, and yes, one thing real quick, flyers, the challenge is this information, this is fluid, this stuff changes. You're right, from the 10 o'clock call to the 2 o'clock call, 3 more reported cases, at 8. We know as the tests come, these are going to continue, this will be a process. So we try and keep that electronically updated because you're getting that accurate information. We handed out the flyers about the spring fling. Within a couple of days, we shut down the spring fling. So handing flyers, it won't give you that
It'll give you
information as it changes, but.
Yeah, but it'll give the phone numbers to call. It'll also give the information about the library or whatever else you want to tell
Yeah,
people.
and we know that's changing too. So that's why we say we're just cautious on what we put in print because that could change within 24 to 48 hours as we move forward. But we can get some information out, basic stuff.
Yeah. Any other comments from the commissioners? Being that we have a very good staff, we have an excellent staff, and we have our wonderful town manager and our wonderful chief. We're in good hands, and now they have the power to do whatever is correct for the safety and well-being of the people who live here. And with that, there being no further business, I call for a motion to adjourn the meeting at, 3:35? 2:35, oh, all right. It's over, okay. That's right, we had time change. All right. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Second
Thank
the
you for
motion.
being here. Thank you.
See you, Greg.
I met Mahjong within your house.
But that's not even good.
I don't even know how to play. I never
Yeah, but
learned.
you want to know something? That
What?
It's not a good one. Nobody's
No,
playing. Yeah.
No, I don't mean in a community room. I mean in
I
your
know.
house.
I know, but even in the House, we don't.
Very good there, Bev.
We did it. I can go with a clear